Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Class Books with Rashad Mitchell. It's a Bible study time. Let's get into it. 2 Kings, chapter 5, verse 1 says, Now Naaman, commander of the army of the king of Aram, is a great man in the sight of his master and highly regarded. Because of him, the Lord had given victory to Aram. He's a valiant soldier, but he had leprosy. The story of Naaman demonstrates God's providence, his saving power and grace, his judgment on sin. Prominent in the narrative is the truth that God's grace and salvation were not confined to Israel, that he desired to have compassion on non-Israelites and lead them to know the one true God. In verse number 10, it reads, Elisha sent a messenger, saying to him, Go wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan. Your flesh will be restored, you will be cleansed. Wash yourself in the Jordan. That means Elisha instructed Naaman to wash himself in the muddy waters of the Jordan River as a simple demonstration of humility and obedience. Furthermore, by doing so, Naaman would find it impossible to ascribe the cure to humans or to natural means. Most Israelites and Arameans knew that the Jordan could not heal leprosy. Yet Naaman needs to know that his healing came miraculously by God's grace and power, the word of his prophet. In verse 13 and 14, it reads, Naaman's servants went to him and said, My father, if the prophet had told you to do some great thing, would you not have done it? How much more then when he tells you, wash and be cleansed? So he went down and dipped himself in the Jordan 7 times, as the man of God had told him, and his flesh was restored, became clean like that of a young boy. Wash and be cleansed, that means this passage, along with many others in the Old Testament, is very prophetic of Jesus Christ, God's promised Messiah. Verse 15. Then Naaman and all his attendants went back to the man of God. He stood before him and said, Now I know that there is no God in all the world except in Israel. Please accept now a gift from your servant. No God in all the world except Israel. It says, It is amazing that Naaman, a foreigner, was miraculously delivered from leprosy, apparently converted to the true God, while many lepers in Israel remain unclean. Jesus himself mentioned Naaman in order to emphasize that when God's people disobey him, his word, he will take his kingdom from them and raise up others to experience his love, salvation, and kingdom power. And verse number 16 says, The prophet answered, As surely as the Lord lives, whom I serve, I will not accept a thing. Even though Naaman urged him, he refused. I will not accept a thing. God does not offer his service for a price, only to those who can afford it. Thus Elisha felt it would be inappropriate for him to profit from what God has done through him. Naaman's healing was a merciful act of God, which no amount of money could repay. He was now under an obligation of grace, lifetime worship to God. In verse 20 it says, Gehazi, servant of Elisha, the man of God, said to himself, The master was too easy on Naaman, this Aramean, by not accepting from him what he brought. Now surely as the Lord lives, I will run after him and get something from him. I will get something from him. That means Elisha's servant Gehazi had a covetous heart, and therefore tried to corrupt God's gracious act for the sake of material prosperity. His transgressions included betraying Elisha, lying to Naaman and Elisha, dishonoring God's name. Likewise, the New Testament refers to people who held the word of God for profit. Unfortunately, there are ministers who seek to enrich themselves, accumulate great material abundance by proclaiming Christ's shed blood, offering salvation to the lost, healing the sick, or counseling those in distress. They are using the word of God and making merchandise of God's mercy. They turn the riches of Christ into the treasures of Egypt. All right, so that's it for tonight. Tomorrow will be chapter 6 of 2 Kings, and we'll get into Christ in the Old Testament. That'll be a good look. That'll be it. So that's it for the show for tonight. Keep subscribing to the channel. And until then, talk to you tomorrow.